We have all kinds of fun slides here for you, and we have all kinds of pros who are going to look into this new decade that we're entering, the roaring 20s. So whether it's sustainability or wellness or technology, we have all the pros here. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but I'll call them up to the stage. We have the chicest one here, just because her name is so cool, Laurence Carr. If you'll join us here on the stage. Jamie Gold. You've seen her in print all over. Scott Koehler, who we decided he's going to have a new tour here at KBIS. He has every tech idea you could know. And Liza Hausman, not only sponsoring the stage here, but the queen of Houzz. And you can see her in her booth as well. So let's see what kind of slides we have here, because I know it's all your work. Oh, okay. Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll just leave it there. We're going to dig in deep with you guys, and I'm going to sit down with you, and let's take it away. My first question for you guys would be, if we were to peer into the design looking glass for 2020, what are you all seeing? And maybe we start with you, Laurence.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thank you, Kelly. I think what we'll see is definitely a focus on wellness as an overall overarching theme, with underneath how can smart technology and a really large focus on sustainability practices and products can support that overarching theme.
And tell us a little bit about your business in New York, just for those who aren't familiar with you.
Yes, so I'm an interior designer. I run a design practice called Laurence Carr Design in New York City. I am all about holistic interiors, which focus on well-being and wellness. I am also a certified green app. I'm a member of a Sustainable Furnishing Council, and work and write specifically on sustainable, eco-friendly practices and products. And I'm also a writer. I have a blog called Beyond Aesthetic. Please check it out on my website, laurencecarr.com. And it's all about holistic wellness, well-being, and how we can really, from the ground up, design as interior architects and interior designers and vendors, contribute to the well-being of our clients, whether it's in residential, hospitality, or commercial interiors.
Thank you. And the slides that we were looking for are rolling through here. We asked them to provide quotes and also imagery, so you guys can take pictures and take these messages along with you. So feel free to take pictures. Jamie, tell us all about your business, and then let's answer that first question of what you're seeing in your design looking glass.
Okay, well, again, my name is Jamie Gold. I'm a wellness design consultant, certified kitchen designer, certified aging in place specialist, and one you probably have not heard before is a Mayo Clinic certified wellness coach. So I love the combination of the fitness and wellness and design and bringing all that together. And I definitely, as Laurence said, see the conversion of design and wellness in this decade. Consumers are showing that is a strong interest for them, more than other realms, that they're willing to pay more for wellness. And it's up to us as a profession to really deliver for them and show them the value and show them that when they're thinking about their health, the health of their families, that their homes, especially kitchens and baths, have a lot to contribute. And within that realm on the wellness end, I'm seeing plants as a big part of it. As you walk around the show floor, you'll see kitchens with plants in them, and you'll see that whole biophilia element. You'll see gas making way for induction. People love cooking with gas, that whole elemental flame. But in parts of the country, you're going to see gas going away, especially California. Mm-hmm. And I think induction as a high-performance cooking source will supplant that, particularly with new codes coming in. And I think we're also going to see wellness going more mainstream. And to answer your question about my bio, part of that is I've written a new book called Wellness by Design that's meant for consumers, because now the publishing industry is also seeing that this is a trend. And Simon & Schuster, one of the biggest in the industry, says, well, we're going to release this in our second season of our new wellness imprint. So this is really totally going global and national and mainstream.
Sure.
Not just for luxury anymore, it's for everyone.
What about you, Scott? You are well known in our industry, but tell us a little bit about your business and what you're seeing in your looking glass.
Well, thank you, Kerrie.
Yeah.
My name is Scott Koehler. I have a kitchen design business, and I have a second career in technology that goes back to the 1980s, selling IBM PCs and AutoCAD to Fortune 500. So it's my two passions, and I actually never thought I would see them merge, but that's where we are today. I would like to, talk to the whole kitchen industry and designers in particular about computer vision. I think that that's going to be a really immense trend for everyone, the brands and the designers, and it's artificial intelligence, and it is basically what voice was for, let's go back even further. Let's say, what the typewriter was to writers, computer vision is going to be to computers, because computers can see now. And so designers have a tool that is just for designers. It's actually a superpower. And in one aspect that I want to focus on, and maybe we'll talk about a little bit later, is augmented reality, which uses computer vision to blend the real world in real time with virtual images and they're to scale. So, and this will be, I will just say that big companies like GE and others are already, and Houzz, already using augmented reality. And it's at the, coming down to the grassroots level. I think we'll see within the next couple years that augmented reality will really come into its own. It's just made for designers.
Mm-hmm. And Miss Liza, tell us a little bit about, I feel like everyone knows you, but let's tell them anyway.
Hi, Kelly. Well, I want to say that I'm here today sort of representing our amazing economists and research team, and so the perspective that I'm bringing is from all of the research that the company does, both consumers and professionals. And just mention that we're sponsoring here today in part because we've launched a whole new dedicated area for professionals on Houzz called Houzz Pro. They're actually 3D floor planning tools and a number of other exciting things that if you check out at our booth, you can get a demo of. But I think part of the reason we're doing that is that technology continues to be so important. So I think one of the things that we see in 2020, I agree that augmented reality and being able to have better tools to guide your clients to the things that are going to make them more happier and more successful with their project. I think one of the quotes I have on there really talks about designers as solution providers, and that in the world of healthy, where folks don't know, well, should I pay a premium? Do I want to pay a premium for things? It's really up to the designers to be that expert and to guide them, and that they will buy the things that you recommend, especially when you're putting together a plan that really meets their needs for not just the traditional definition of health, but that broader definition of wellness and general family well-being and happiness.
Yeah. Well, and as designers are problem solvers, and these are two newer subjects. The technology has improved over time. You specifically, Scott, how do you see wellness and technology coming together in a home to really support a lifestyle versus distract from the family or someone's being on the phone all the time? How do we have it support the lifestyle we want to have and enjoy?
I think the best thing to do is to break it down, to an individual level, for starters. And, we all are at a certain state of wellness right now. And if we can augment our abilities, then that improves our wellness. So, for example, air is something that we all like and need. So air quality becomes a big issue. So for one example, you would have and kitchen air is known not to be a high quality. So we put sensors on hoods, and that allows the hood to detect grease, smoke, heat, and automate that process, and that improves our air quality. It's maybe as designers we're not talking about it as a wellness issue, but it augments our abilities. And I think you break it down to our abilities. How do we improve our abilities as an individual? You know, and there are many, many examples like that. You know, and another one would be a person that's you know, having a little trouble keeping track of their phone around the house. Maybe they need a smartwatch so that people can be in touch with them, and that's communication. Another thing that, you know, helps us. We feel better if we're in contact with the outside world. So, and just when you look at it, almost everything is an example of enabling people and their abilities.
Okay. And on the wellness side, with our gurus down here, is there something biophilia-wise, or is there maybe an area of the home where we shouldn't have technology when we consider wellness?
Yes, definitely biophilic design. If we can introduce plants, branches that you can take from your garden if you live in a big city, if you can have fresh herbs or plants. And if you can't, simply because you don't have enough sunlight, then also why not peak? It's been demonstrated by research, scientific research, that by just having a wallpaper that represents plants, nature, green, or a nature landscape, can help you reduce your heart rate and create a feeling of well-being and relaxation. There are also some areas that you can create. You create your own space and say this is a no technology place. It could be just a place that is like a quiet room, or part of your bedroom, or even some people use their bathroom or dressing room just as a quiet space where you're going to either relax, do some quiet meditation if you're into it, or just have absolutely no access to technology.
What do you think, Jamie?
I would say bridging what Scott was talking about with technology and Laurence with wellness and biophilia. If you combine both technology and wellness, because I do believe you're going to see a lot of convergence. Scott mentioned vent hoods with sensors. I happen to be a big fan of bathroom vent fans with sensors, because you have children and teenagers who may not always think to turn them on, or seniors who may not remember. So this is also wellness and technology combined. There are biometrics that can keep kids out of medicine cabinets because it goes by a fingerprint or some other biometric measure. That adds a safety element and a wellness element. There's also new technology along sensors and floors. So if you're a caregiver for someone who doesn't live with you, and they don't get out of bed when they usually do, or they have fallen, it can alert your phone or your tablet to know that there's an issue. And when you think about that, that enables somebody to live independently longer without having to move into a relative's house or an assisted living. And it is just beneficial to both parties, the caregiver and the the person who needs the help.
Yep.
Just a comment on, I'll say as a parent of a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, kind of what's the reality of removing technology, from all spaces. I'm not sure that's super realistic. In our surveys, I think 40% of people are using their phones in their bathrooms. I think, in general, it's more creating the spaces where you have family time, where activities happen that aren't necessarily reliant on the phone, because of course there's meditation apps and music apps and people put speakers in all their spaces, so it's not necessarily that we want to remove technology from a space, but making it, facilitating ways to carve out time where you can put your phone in a basket and do activities that don't require technology. I think that's important and maybe more likely than having a space that's technology free.
Yeah. And with Houzz, are you seeing wellness and technology, all of that, as you guys put together stories and such, are you seeing that be a hot topic for those who are searching on your website?
It's definitely a positive topic. I mean, it's a hot topic in the sense that more from the holistic sense. So people are trying to figure out how they're going to create space for meditation or exercise or that time with family in the holistic sense. Some of the things that we're seeing, I think, that are interesting are kitchens are becoming more and more public, more open, right? A public space representative, of your public face to the outside world. And so we're seeing bathrooms become kind of even more private and in some ways very personalized. I don't want to say ostentatious, but more wild maybe than people would put in their public face in the kitchen. And so we're kind of seeing more of a dichotomy between the public and the private spaces in a home.
I would say like that in kitchen, it's all about knowing for wellness how to integrate smart technology to actually contribute to well-being. So in terms of cooking, what is exactly sous vide, steaming? How can we integrate, normal gas, but induction, and have this, way of cooking that is very healthy, because that's what we're aiming for. In the kitchen as well, yes, we can have technology. In the bathrooms, steaming. Definitely, what I meant with no technology means no phone. I do believe there is a benefit in not having your phone, by yourself. But, however, you can use, have a technology on the wall and have access to steaming, playing music, relaxing, really using the bath as a place where you recenter and recover with steaming.
Sure. And as we are making space in our home for these special areas, whether it's meditation or exercise or these new activities, these multi-purpose rooms, how do we redefine the home? Do we need a dining room? Do we need a formal living space? What are you seeing in your designs?
Definitely, I feel like there's a relationship between luxury, hospitality spaces, environments, and high-end residential. A lot of spaces where we can circulate. There's a blend between the kitchen and the dining room. Dining rooms are no more just formal. They are part of a circulation from the kitchen to the dining room to the living room. They're open spaces. However, having said that, the public spaces have being able to enable circulation have to also, in some areas, be private. And we found the same aspects in hospitality, where you have all these lounges, but then you have little nooks where you can have a private phone conversation or focus on your work before making the choice to go to, have lunch, dinner in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. What I'm seeing in Southern California, raise your hand if you're based in Southern California or anywhere in the Sun Belt. Aren't you seeing a lot of outdoor living, that it's seamless between the indoors and the outdoors? You have walls of doors that completely open up. You have flooring that transitions from indoor with the slip resistance for the matching outdoor. One of my friends is an architect and says, I have clients who have more appliances on their patio than they do in their kitchen, because it's all about entertaining outside, living outside, and that's a huge wellness potential right there, that whole outdoor experience. And in the research I've done about Gen Z and millennials, it's really, really strong with our younger folks too. So.
I want to dig into those outdoor spaces, but I want to hear real quick, do you think we need a formal dining room anymore?
I would have to say that I think it's, very personalized.
Yeah.
And I just don't think there's one size fits all anymore, because, people want to have things the way they want to live and the way they want to entertain. Mm-hmm. Some people want a kitchen that's really closed off, and some want it completely open. Mm-hmm. So I think that, it's kind of hard to make a general rule about that, but I think the general rule is, more extreme personalization, helping people get exactly what they want.
Sure. So going into that question, we spend 90% of our time indoors. This is what studies are saying, and it's beautiful out here today and in California, where you're from. So tell us how you see people blending the indoor and out, really blurring the lines and having that wellness component speak to what we're doing outdoors.
Yep. No, I 100% agree with Jamie. With the indoor-outdoor trend, especially from kitchens, is huge. So when we see people saying that they're going to open their kitchens up, it's about 40% open them up to an indoor space, another 30% open them up to an outdoor space. And so we're seeing, as she said, larger doors. If you can't put a door, we're seeing larger windows being put in to allow more kind of air and just circulation and communication with the outdoors in general. I think one of the interesting actual future opportunities for designers is kind of to be able to design an outdoor kitchen. You know, as you said, there's a huge amount of money that's being spent on these outdoor spaces, and if you're coming in to do the kitchen, why not do the outdoor kitchen as part of that project, right? And that's a bigger ticket item for you. So building that skill set and becoming a indoor-outdoor kitchen designer could be, I think, a huge future opportunity for designers in this space.
Yep.
And how much technology are you seeing being integrated into these outdoor spaces? Are we putting TVs out there and sound systems and all the things?
We put TVs out there, we put fireplace out there, which, you know, is not really necessarily for wellness, but we do. Music, sounds everywhere. And yes, totally agree. I mean, the large windows replaces, doors that we had before, so we can always be in relationship. There's a real blend between the indoor and outdoor spaces. Whether we're on the East Coast, of course, West Coast, better weather, warmer weather all year long, but we really have to have access, the more we can, to sunlight and greenery, the better.
In researching my Wellness by Design book, I was looking at swim spas, and they're even integrating entertainment into the surface, into the water, so you can get your workout and listen to your tunes at the same time. So,
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's another aspect of this that I feel like your knowledge really can support. It's not so sexy. It's aging, designed for aging. We don't like to talk about it a lot, and we want it to somehow be pretty and functional at the same time. How do we reclaim that as designers, or reposition this huge opportunity as far as a demographic? How do we do that well and support all these people who are in need of design for aging?
Yeah, I mean, what our research shows is that there's a huge opportunity here, and part of it is just marketing and positioning, right? As opposed to aging in place, it's, I want to enjoy my home for as long as possible, or I'm investing in this home and I want it to work for me through all the stages of my life, whether I'm, from small children to people out of the house to, folks coming back in, but positioning it more as, right, this home being able to work with you through all the life stages. And so we see, things that are attractive, right? Aging in place doesn't have to be unattractive, but positioning, we're seeing no threshold showers are becoming more and more popular. Kitchens with either no upper shelving or open shelving up above, and just because it's more comfortable for everybody. And so again, with this idea that designers are guiding clients in this way, it's really just about making sure that home is comfortable and enjoyable for you and your extended family for the long haul, right? And that you don't have to go through this process multiple times.
Yeah.
if you look at demographically, what society is largely moving toward the 50 plus, but look at triathletes, look at marathon runners, look at ultra runners. The biggest age demographic is 40 plus. So you have people who are engaging in endurance sports, which is to this generation what the Corvette was to previous generations. It's basically midlife 101. People want to gird their bodies for the decades to come and be as strong as they can. And as someone who has gotten more mud crawling under barbed wire and climbing up the sides of hills than I have at spas, I could tell you that having a handheld massaging shower head, for example, and not having to climb over the edge of a tub just really feels good after a long day on the trails. And so I like to think, because nobody likes the A word, right?
Right.
So I like to think with athlete in place and talk to people from the standpoint of what they enjoy doing in their free time and how that might at some point mean that they can't use their kitchen or bath as readily as they would otherwise, and how to make sure that you can use it regardless of what event you're participating in, regardless of how sore you are after a weekend, and just have it feel like a resort spa, not a rehab hospital room, but have the amenities that allow you to be in that space regardless, as you say, at any point in your life, but at any point in your month too.
And I would say as designers or interior architects, we talked about this morning. I think it's very important from the ground up to think about the aspects of a construction. How are we going to think that in terms of space and the pre-wiring, for the smart technology, for, voice over control, as well as music, as well as different aspects that will support the living in place.
I think when we start off with clients, there's a lot of great questions. I'm not sure that we're really that good yet at asking questions about abilities. I'd like to see more about, what abilities, what are your abilities? What are you able to do, and what would you like to be able to do? Are there things that could be enhanced or augmented with technology? So, I don't think there's an age, indicator for that. I would go back to, for the kitchen, 3 basic things, which is water, air, and food. And if you look at the quality of all 3 of those things, and you work on that as wellness, I think it's a great place for designers, because we're already dealing with, appliances. We're dealing with water filtration. We're dealing with lighting. We're dealing with hoods. So we're hitting on all these. But as Liza said, I think it might be vocabulary. It might just be the way that we're talking about things. So we might not be using the vocabulary and talking about the benefits. And we ask all kinds of questions, like the NKBA questionnaire is amazing in 18 pages, but we need more. We need to be able to ask about abilities and emotions. Well, how would you like to feel when you're in this space? And these are things that we're not really, on our, top of mind right now, but maybe they could be.
And that's a similar conversation that we had. I think what you're suggesting is really proving the value of a designer, just that much more. And with that, as this industry is evolving, and I'd love to hear your point of view on this too, what do you see as the future of interior design? Will we all be e-designers, or what will that designer role look like as we move into this new decade?
Yeah, I think the biggest, I don't know if it's so much of a transition, but maybe just an elevation of, it's not just about trends or knowing what's going on, it's about being that amazing solution provider. And as a client of a designer, multiple times, I think those are the things that I really fixate on, right? What were the choices they made that made living in my home that much better, or work that much better for my family or for me? And so I think, designer as consultant, designer as solution provider is really what we're going to see as a role change. However you deliver that service, I think there's still going to be a host of options depending on budgets, and I don't think there's going to be a one-size-fits-all business model, but I do think that, when designers are successful, it's because they've been able to solve problems, and that's what, drives word of mouth and some of the best, business. And
I think there's going to be I think that the middle of the road is going to be less. So for design, I think we're going to see more e-design, and then I think on the other side, I think we're going to see more niches and more evolved design and using computer vision and augmented reality. So I think that there's nothing wrong with e-design, and there's nothing wrong with people that need things, but those are going to be things that artificial intelligence is going to be able to do. And it is the very opposite of what well-trained and professional designers do, which is to really dig in and make it personal and learn and to help a person in that way. And so, I think the middle ground in anything with technology, kind of the middle ground gets eaten up, and you have more things that are commodity. But then I think the opportunity is really in becoming stronger in all the technology.
Yeah. I'll say the next 2 generations of home buyers will be millennials. We're already starting to see them in the market, and Gen Z. The oldest of the Gen Z are mid-20s. They're interested in buying homes. They're only going to be able to afford starter homes in most places in the country. Might be another few years before they get there. But these are folks who want to have it their way. They're very technologically oriented. They're going to expect that whatever you present online is going to meet their standards, and I know you're familiar with that. But I think that you're going to see designers evolve into a more consulting role for DIY clients than a more project management role for these younger home buyers. And that's fine. Let them be creative. Show them what they don't know they don't know. The things that can be a problem once they say, this is what I want. Great. You've got super ideas. Let me show you how to make it work so that you don't have safety issues, health issues, code issues, and be the expert for them.
Yes, yes, and I may repeat some of the aspects that you just said, but I think as designers, it will be really important for us to understand how we can guide to the best of our ability these clients that are millennials and Generation Z. What do they want? They wire their brains. Let's talk about Generation Z. Their brains are wired. They want and they automatically think with smart technology. We had this conversation this morning. What do they want? They want to make sure that the choices they make will preserve our planet. So there will be, sustainable shopping, oriented. They will not want to buy things that will contribute to destroy the planet. They really truly care. So it's about addressing what your target audience wants, and they want the use of new smart technology, sustainability. They want wellness. They want to live long, and so on.
So this wasn't, you guys don't know about this question, but I want to know. As far as designers out here and manufacturers out here, if there was one thing that you could do for your client as we enter this wellness, sustainability, technology marriage, what would you suggest if you just were going to go forward with one thing?
For a client.
Yeah, for a client.
What would you do for a client?
Yep. Because maybe this area seems a little intimidating. It's like, I don't know so much about it.
You
We'd
mean
buy your book
what would
first.
a kitchen? Yeah, right. Yeah. So what would a kitchen designer do for a client?
Yeah.
I think it's lighting.
Okay.
I think it is because it's where, kitchen designers have been doing lighting for a long time. And, before it was automated, and now there are opportunities to manage all of the lighting in the kitchen and beyond. So, an example, I interviewed some folks for an article that I'm writing, and I talked to Molly Switzer. I think a lot of folks here know Molly. She's not at the show, but when she's talking about a project, she started off with lighting, and the contractor wasn't ready to organize and collaborate and bring the team together, and the tech integrator wasn't prepared to do this for a whole house. The homeowners weren't prepared to do this, and so Molly took it. And so basically she didn't understand or know everything up front. And so she guided as the team, as a team leader, and she brought them. This was a 1-year project. It was a whole house automation and remodel that like I say, took over a year to do, and step by step. She guided everybody, brought the team together, and produced a fabulous project, and I'm sure she's going to get published for it. But I think that she's like paving a pathway for designers that basically says, okay, nobody's an expert on everything at this point, but designers are good at collaborating and consulting and bringing teams together. So I think it's a huge opportunity, and I think it starts with lighting.
And I agree with everything you said, especially on the collaboration. It's about your expertise, it's about your team's expertise, and it's about your client's expertise, because they know what they want. They have a vision that it's a designer's job to augment. They simply don't realize how much of their well-being is tied into their home. That's why I wanted to write a book about it, quite frankly. And it's geared toward consumers, because I think everybody in here would know 90% of what I'm writing about, but having a language to share that with your client and show them how their health and their home relate to each other and how that ties into the technology they use, and and the planet that they want to protect. It's all interconnected. So be your authentic self, recognize their and acknowledge their authenticity.
Great.
And in order to achieve that, I would say, I agree with everything you two say as well, is really direct your questions to get these answers, to show them that what they are looking for are these different elements, whether it's light, air, water, you know, and technology and so on. Like, be a guide in highlighting what is it that they are really looking, you know, into wellness.
You want to
I
chime
would
in?
say from the client side, I think I would echo a lot of this, which is help me understand what I don't know. Right? Ray's asked me those questions that I may come with my ideas and lots of ideas, but there are probably, a whole bucket of things that I haven't thought about and don't know to think about. And so, don't be afraid to have that conversation with me, ask me those questions, and right, you're going to get more out of the project, and I'll get more out of the project if you bring me those opportunities.
Perfect. Well, I see all these smiling faces. What questions do you guys have? We have the power panel here. What do you got?
I design mostly for families, so it's very personal. You're building your family's history, you're creating
I don't
traditions.
know who that is, but I'm going to come
Lots
down
of
closer to
history
you.
Let's-
involved.
yeah,
It's the
get a
best
microphone.
kind of environment to design.
I hope. Let's see. So you said with Gen Z and sustainability.
They want their own kitchen their way. Has there been any thought about integrating the indoor kitchen with the outdoor kitchen? With the Richard Neutra effect, with movable walls.
Who's asking about a better way to integrate the indoor and the outdoor kitchen as one unit? Is anyone thinking about that from a manufacturing or design perspective?
I love that seamless feel between spaces, so that if you have stainless appliances indoors, say you have stainless outdoors, if you have a certain type of wood finish on your cabinetry indoor, it complements what you have outdoors, so the flooring look continues, so that somebody sitting in the outdoor kitchen feels connected to somebody standing in the indoor kitchen, and it all just pulls together as an integrated living space. No.
One
Well-
kitchen that you can access through.
Well, think of it in
Really?
terms of one kitchen, in a sense. But you have your outdoor appliances and you have your indoor appliances, and they're used in different ways. One thing that I think both kitchens should have, depending on the placement, is a ventilation hood. They're standard indoors, but if you're creating an outdoor grilling area in a covered space, I like to see an outdoor vent hood as well, so that smoke isn't blowing onto the guests. So, in a sense, you are integrating those two spaces, and it'll come down to budget, of course, and space allowances, and how the client likes to cook.
And I would just add and then relate, with the choices of the elements, as Jamie was saying, as inspired by nature as possible, wood, stone, and then some metallics that will just relate to what is happening indoor.
And as low maintenance as you can go.
What do you have over here? I don't know how far I can go, but I'll have you talk into my microphone. Oh, good. That's what I was looking for.
Yay!
Okay.
Thanks for the question, sir.
So you mentioned about longevity, convenience, the green program, and convenience. How would you prioritize, how would you rank them in terms of popularity or preference going into this new decade?
Yes,
For
Anyone.
anybody. Yeah, anybody.
that's probably a great question for you.
I'm not sure that they're rankable. I think they all kind of tie into convenience and longevity. I think these are interrelated pieces if you're doing them right. I think that it may be something we have to think about from a marketing perspective of what am I going to go to the homeowner with, as their priority might be convenience, and they're not thinking about it in the same way that maybe I am, and so I need to kind of come and explain how I can wrap convenience in longevity as a designer and hit all of those priorities together.
Right. Well, is this someone's starter home or is it their forever home? How long will they be in it? How active is their lifestyle? Is low maintenance as important to them as I think it would be? Maybe it's not a big concern. So it really is, to Scott's point earlier, it's questioning your client about what their values are. I think all of us on the platform here have seen wellness as a big concern, but it's going to show up in different ways for different generations, different people at different points in their lives.
I don't know. Try that. Nope.
It varies. No. I mean, if you speak to yourself in 50 years, your concerns are going to be different than they are today too. That's what yeah.
What other questions do we have? Let's see. Does this microphone work? Try that.
Hello?
There we go.
This is specific in relation to food preparation, and have you looked at research about, you mentioned induction cooking and the wellness factors of that. How about microwave cooking? That is still such a part of the way we cook. Have you done any research or looked into research about what that does to the actual food that we're eating and how that might fit in the future?
There have been a lot of studies done that show that there's no negative issues with microwaves. But I personally say to clients and to write for readers that a combi steam oven will basically do everything that a microwave will do on the reheating end, except microwave popcorn, which isn't really healthy for you anyway. So I like to provide that as an alternative. Now, it's not yet standard in your average, tract home. Builders aren't going in that direction. But as they see that wellness pays off of their bottom line as well as for the homeowner's health line, maybe we'll see that shift over time. Have you seen any negative, true scientific evidence about microwave?
I have not. Yeah, it hasn't come up a lot, and I think part of the question is, are they just using it to reheat, right, or do quick things, or is that how you're cooking? Hopefully, it's not how you're doing your primary cooking in the house.
I hope not.
It's limiting.
I hope not.
But it is fast, and there's other ways to get fast food, fast, healthy food too.
Well, on that note, I think, and I'm not speaking out of turn because I've already told this story to a bunch of people before, but the CEO of the NKBA has a plant-based diet, and he has said that his kitchen needs to absolutely be blown up because he doesn't need a freezer, he doesn't need a microwave, he needs 2 or 3 refrigerators, he needs 2 sinks, lots of countertop to cut up all the vegetables and that sort of thing. So I think as these diets change and wellness is a part of that, that you may see the kitchen blow up in a certain way too. So challenge your manufacturers as you walk the floor today on something like that. What other questions do we have? That's it?
No.
One more?
One more.
Yeah.
It's not really a question, it's just on the microwave topic. They talk about plastics in microwaves, and it really does release very harmful chemicals, apparently. So, or in the oven, too.
So it's the container.
Yeah.
Containers.
Right. Same in sous vide.
Question over here.
Yeah, my question is in the topic of wellness and how expansive it can be. And as designers, we've been trained to look at the physical ways that we can help to benefit people's lives. I'm just wondering what your take is on the convergence of wellness from the view of emotional intelligence and spirituality, and how is that starting to play into the conversation and changing the designs that you're seeing?
It's a great question. Thank you. I really think that because of the main consciousness becoming more mainstream, there is a response to clients to actually really trying to find holistic spaces, whether they are in residential spaces or at work, at workplaces, as well as in hospitality spaces. And so as designers, the way I introduce that is by using a lot of ancient practices. Why? Because they have been proving that they work for thousands of years, so we pass that. But also they sort of support the emotional intelligence and the well-being of our clients. When under this umbrella we talk about wellness, we don't just talk about air and water and part of these very, very valuable certifications that we know as LEED and WELL, and I just mentioned green as well. But we want to make sure that also we align with the well-being of the clients. And so by introducing different practices, there can be more tools to support their well-being. Then we merge, the knowledge of both, and that way we can create really holistic interiors.
Anyone else? Yeah. There you go.
I'm very curious about those holistic space you describe. So could you give me an example of a holistic space you have created for, and if I understand correctly, most of your clients are upper end?
Yes.
Okay. For a typical upper end, I'd like to know, define that space. Tell me what it looks like.
Yeah, so I will take the example of a space I designed actually for a show house, but because I've done a lot of those. And I called it the restorative room. Specifically, that was aimed to really demonstrate that when we look for a private space, which can be a bedroom, a library, some people might call it my fitness space, and we choose some elements that will support our well-being by really appealing to our senses as humans. We have 5 senses, and how can we define and design a kind of a healing space that will help me as a client to feel recentered, or to feel if I'm not really into this mindfulness, how can it help me to just feel relaxed? For even if it takes 5 minutes. So for some people, it might be just making sure that the environment is going to be conducive to me being able to focus on my book that I'm just reading. For other people who are into yoga or mindfulness, it could be just I can sit and I can just use that space to meditate for 30 minutes. But now, what will be the elements? So I will really introduce, color, the psychology and the science of color. What color am I going to choose that I will put on these walls? And they might not all be the same. Of course, there will be a blending between the floor, the 5th wall, which is the ceiling, and the 4 walls. What furniture am I going to choose? And how this will help my client or that space to really make people feel comfortable. The materials. And also the senses such as music. What sound? So I purposefully chose some of the nature sound. Because nature, like in biophilic design, the hearing can also help in making you feel relaxed and so on. And also some accessories, because the choice of some, it's been demonstrated, it's more and more demonstrated that some objects, and specifically artisan-made objects that come from really some specific places that have been made by hand, they really carry that sense. That's why they are poetic, in a sense, placed on a table. For some it's a candle, for someone else it can be a vase, for someone else it can be just a book. But these carry, they've been handmade, there is a real savoir-faire, a real, artisan-made craftsmanship that's there. And just by the beauty of seeing how it's been made, just that itself, this is neuroaesthetic. that demonstrate scientifically how just by looking at this beautiful object, it just creates and relax your mind and your body and your brain and so on. I hope I answered your question.
Anyone else? A short question before we wrap up here? All good? Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you to our wonderful panel.
And thank you to
Thank
the
you
wonderful
so much,
moderator.
Kerrie, for having us.
Have a great KBIS. Have a great show.